Too good for my Honda, is that what you're saying?
I can't be seen in
I can't be seen in no 90s Honda.
I can't be seen in the Civic, dog. If you had the Accord, the 4-door
As soon
Accord.
as these tariffs hit, we'll see who's laughing, you know?
I could pull up the 4-door Accord, but the Civic,
we'll see
dog.
who's laughing. All of a sudden, 90s Hondas are looking good again.
I'm past the Civic, man. You would have had to catch me like 10 years ago. Can't be seen. Yeah.
Sorry, I was jamming out.
Nice. Yeah, still I got the speakers in here.
Alright. So I took a crack at the zombie arena stuff, and I was trying to check, because it's a mouse click game by default. So I was trying to figure out a way to get it to be keyboard input only, which is a lot harder than it sounds. So it should be easier, but apparently it's not, of course. And with my limited background of understanding code and knowing how the variables and the inputs work, I rely on AI a lot.
Does the AI know the SMFL library?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. When it comes to prompting, I'm pretty decent at it. I'm like still learning how to prompt, but for the most part, I'm understanding what I was trying to do. The only issue that I ran into is that it wasn't able to correct itself, which of course is not going to know how to correct it. So let me try to get this. So it does start. Okay, so it does work. It does work. But I died. So that's as far as I was able to do. No mouse view. But there's errors and I don't know what to do with it. So
Are you able to turn your character? Are you able to figure that out?
let's see. So I think that was still mouse input. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's still mouse input. And fire still mouse input as well.
It's tricky. It'd be tricky to get it to work as a keyboard just because of the limitations of keyboard.
Yeah.
You know, with a mouse, you can move it anywhere on the screen.
Can't you just have left and right increase rotation?
You could.
And then that's it, right? The rest doesn't matter.
Yeah, you probably have to do something along the lines of getting the character to face the direction that you're moving.
So those are the show 17 errors now, but
I want to say your character, player CPP, or where's player H? You go open player H, right there on the right side, very bottom. More to the right, more to the right.
Up the solution explorer.
oh, okay.
Player H. You double click that. In here is likely his rotation, or whatever it is. Right? It's we read the things there.
Which direction?
Yeah, which direction is the player currently moving in?
Yeah, let's see.
Keep going.
Last hits, pixels. His actual rotation.
There's give position. Keep going. Hit center, get rotation. So what is get rotation doing? If you open player.cpp and we look for get rotation,
Set rotation angle. Angle rotation.
okay, so right there where it says float angle, it's using mouse position.
What is that function called? To scroll up.
A10 too?
So like keyboard.
Oh, keep going up, keep going up.
What's the
Oh,
name
you
of the
can
whole
do-
function?
Call the mouse on the keyboard?
All the way up.
What it does is it asks current location of mouse
Oh, no.
on the
So
screen.
so this is
Oh,
how
yeah.
we need.
And then using that, where the location of the mouse is on the screen, it will set your character's angle to face that direction. So when you move the mouse down, your character just follows that,
Right.
relevant to the screen.
So if you want to no longer use a mouse, that's where we can change it. It's in the
Yeah.
update function.
Okay.
Because that's
So,
where it's actually utilizing the mouse.
float player get rotation.
So this is,
So the float, what's the float then? The float is separate from the mouse, right?
I'm not sure until I look at this. Because I didn't see a variable in the actual player class, for rotation. I think it's just looking at the mouse.
Where was it being set? If you go back to get rotation,
So,
I think there's not a variable, it's just a calculation.
yeah, so there's the position, and there's keeping the player in the arena, and then further down, I think is the rotation. And you can see it calculate the angle the player stays.
Okay, M sprite set rotation.
Yeah, so
So-
it's not storing the number anywhere, it's calculating it on the fly every frame. So, it updates, this is the update function, so this is happening every single frame, I'm assuming. This player's constantly being updated. And the first thing it's doing is it's checking for movement. So if left is pressed, move left, if up is pressed, move up.
Yeah.
The second block of stuff it's checking is to make sure that it's staying within the bounds of the arena. If player position dot y is above the top, good, move back in. Put
him back.
Yeah, so it's basically the way that, in the same example that I was doing before, how it happens here.
Yeah.
You're not, when you hit a barricade that you're not supposed to pass, it's not that it stops you, it's that you move past it, and within the same frame, the code detects that you're past it and moves you back. So, since it all happens within a frame, you're not like jittering, it's just telling you you can't go that far.
Yeah.
And then after all of that, that's where we're getting the angle, the angle here.
So we hand in, I'm assuming we hand in mouse position, right? But instead of that, we could just hand in like a number. If left press, hand in like a 10, if right press, hand in a negative. And then have that subtract or minus from our angle and hand that into set rotation, right? But
Yeah, this is where we need to control it. It's not actually being stored anywhere else. So as long as we
that's the problem. Oh, so you get rotation. Right, they'll get you whatever, and then you either minus 10 from it or add 10 from it, depending which key was pressed.
Yeah.
And that way you'll rotate depending on the press.
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to nail down is exactly how the rotation is being controlled. Because is it gonna be controlled just by the same keys as the movement? So like, if your character's facing this way,
Well-
and you move, and you wanna say, I wanna move that way, your character doesn't just move that way, they also turn a little bit. Or are we gonna do more of a twin stick type of thing, where you have the controls for movement that just strafe you, and then a separate set of controls to turn? Which is kind of how it's working on mouse already, you have the movement keys, and then the mouse strafe.
Well, I wanna say, the problem is, your rotation controls the hair trigger thing. So if you have it locked to your keys, it's gonna be jumping around as you do the movements that you're saying.
Yeah.
Right, so if you forcefully rotate the character on move, the hair will pop off, so you won't be able to hit the zombie.
Yeah.
You'll have to, if you manually rotate, even though you're walking, you can walk side, like you'll face one direction while walking, it'll be fine. You wanna be able to rotate to hit the zombie.
Right.
You don't wanna like jerk the
So, yeah,
crosshair.
we essentially what we want is something along the lines of like tank controls.
Yeah, it's just
like,
plus minus 10 degrees of rotation.
yeah, we've got movement and we've got spinning, and those are not controlled by the same buttons, which would give us the most control over that.
Why?
Did you bring
The
the
current
lights on?
controls use WASD, no?
Yeah.
Well, they do, but they do for movement.
Yeah, so the left-right buttons are free.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if we wanna do that, we have to,
Simple,
we can't just
fast,
calculate angle on the
media
fly
library.
constantly, at least I don't think that's the best way.
No, we could do M-Sprite, get rotation. And then, again, if you press right key, we add 10 degrees, and if you press left, we minus 10 degrees. From our current gear rotation, we'll store a float angle, and then set rotation with that angle.
So then I would take away mouse position.
You
mouse
delete that
position,
whole section, only leave
Yeah.
float angle.
And only leave float angle.
Yeah,
Yes,
so-
and then, no, you keep the M-Sprite set rotation. We're rewriting this to not use the mouse.
Yeah, we're just,
So,
so.
get rid of all that, right?
Yeah.
In other words, all of that is how the player's angle is being determined. And what we wanna do is we wanna change how the player's angle is being determined.
Yeah.
M-Sprite dot gear rotation?
Yeah, so,
No, no.
you wanna leave that.
Oh, okay.
So that's where we're actually setting the rotation, so,
But I'm putting M sprite, get rotation right here.
yeah. Get the rotation, do something to it, and then set the rotation according to what we've done. So,
So you wanna go back and type M-Sprite again, just delete that one.
yeah, so I think.
Because if it doesn't detect that it's a sprite object, it won't give you the autocomplete.
We want something along the lines
M sprite,
That get rotation, perfect. And then brackets,
brackets.
yeah. The other,
that's parentheses.
is it brackets? I always mix everything
It's
up.
parentheses.
These are called parentheses?
Yeah,
Okay, parentheses.
parentheses are the circles, curly brackets, or just brackets are the curvy ones, and there's also square brackets, and there's also caret brackets. So,
Parentheses. How do? You do caret, less than, greater than, if you're,
in some places, you actually do just have to use caret brackets.
but how do you say less than, you know, for like streaming?
Oh, yeah, that's the same symbol, just plus.
But how do you call it out, I guess? If you're gonna tell somebody to do the less than.
Well, if it was somebody who knew what you were talking about, you'd say you use the stream operator.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, in class when I teach people, I usually just say arrow.
So how do you know which way?
Well, that's the responsibility of the student to know.
That's their problem.
Yeah, you send to C out, you get from C in. If you don't know that, you need to go back and reread chapter 2. I teach this class. I'm teaching this class.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. So we want to.
Terminate that, I think, and then.
Yeah, so-
Depending on what variable we pass in, we could either add or subtract from that
Yeah, so we
value.
got the angle.
And semicolon is terminating, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's period at the end of the sentence for code, for C++, I should say. So we get so at the moment, right now, we're just getting the angle and then setting the angle node change. So now between those two lines, between what's currently line 154 and 155, that's where we change the angle based on user input. So if we wanted to do the thing where rotation is a separate set of controls from movement, so we can rotate in place without moving, and we can move without rotating. So WASD for movement, that's fine. Again,
IJKL,
was that?
IJKL would be the second set of keys.
We could, we only really need left and right.
Nah, I think left and right.
Unless you wanted rotation to be, I for face more upward, J for face more leftward, K for face more backward, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, we have to determine how we're doing it.
You have to play test it, I guess.
Yeah, So let's start, just because it's the one I had.
If you can scroll back up to what's getting passed in.
Let's just start by doing, you can press one key to rotate counterclockwise and one key to rotate counterclockwise.
Yeah.
So maybe just hit L or left and right on the keyboard. You can pick your favorite keys. But what we essentially want to do is we get that angle, we have our float angle. Then after that line, if the key for counterclockwise rotation is being pressed, rotate counterclockwise, which would be subtracting the.
Well, hold on, no, we're gonna do this in main.
Adding.
Oh, okay.
So-
This may, no, we should do it here.
No, the issue is this, watch, if you go up to what's getting handed in, right, this is the update function, this gets called when something happens. Keep going up, keep going up. Elapsed time and mouse position.
Oh, that's all we have then. Well, we no longer need mouse position.
M up pressed, then it calls M up pressed, so
I
the,
see. So it's storing whether the other keys are being pressed as variables. This is kind of dumb.
yeah, but
That's
that
the way
means,
it is.
that means we can do it here in space, right? Because they're doing M down press, which I'm assuming is checking if the button's pressed.
But that's a class level variable, so what we have to do is create two new class level
We
variables.
don't have to do that, we can just do the whole, if
Well,
right is pressed, add the 10, if left is pressed, minus 10, right? Would that not just work right there?
Oh, okay,
Well,
so
but that would tie rotation to the movement.
if I understand you guys correctly, right, just for me to kind of,
I think update is called every frame.
Right. And the issue is what's actually accessible from inside of this function. Right now.
You could still access the SFML stuff where you can check if a key's being pressed.
Yeah, we could.
so are you saying with this in here, it's looking at where the mouse is on the screen and determining?
This is passing in the coordinates of the mouse position on the screen to this function.
To this function, yeah.
And then this function uses those coordinates to calculate the angle your character should be looking at.
I see.
So.
Because
This,
if you think, okay, so it goes like, where is this angle? And then relative to the screen, it does atan 2 or whatever.
so what's happening here? This is a little bit advanced because we're talking about object-oriented programming.
Yeah.
We have this thing called a player. This player has data, some variables, which was in the .h, and it also has some functions, which are things this thing can do.
Yeah.
Now, what these functions have access to is only what's inside of the player itself, or what we pass in explicitly, which in this case is elapsed time and mouse position. So,
Now,
to make this well, we should only use data that is inside the player, which includes stuff like M up pressed and M down pressed, or things that we're explicitly passing in, like elapsed time and mouse position. If we're going to take off the mouse controls, we don't need mouse position anymore. Right now it's irrelevant, so we can get rid of it.
and the vector is pretty much letting them know, like, these are the parameters.
That was the type of mouse press.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the.
So, yeah, so
Vector 2i pretty much, I think.
yeah, so it undo to have what you had before.
Oh, undo.
Yeah, just so I can talk about it. So this function takes in two pieces of data. One of them is a float called elapsed time, and one of them is a vector 2i called mouse position. So if we no longer need that mouse position, we delete that whole thing. We don't need the vector 2i mouse position.
The vector 2i is the type of what mouse position is. There's two integers in mouse position.
So this is, like I said, this is kind of advanced stuff. We have this thing called a vector that has a bunch of data. We're passing it into this function of a player, which itself has a bunch of data. So,
Float elapsed time just means it's a number that has decimals.
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
what
yeah, float just means has decimals.
pretty much.
Not an integer, not a whole number.
So did you want to pass something in or just check?
So the thing is, here they're controlling the player's actual movement based on the WASD. But they're doing it by setting these variables, the M up pressed and M down pressed, somewhere else. Somewhere else they're setting these variables, and then they're checking the values here. So if we wanted this program to work like the rest of the function does, we'd have to create two new variables, one for, left arrow key press, right arrow key press, whatever we choose to call it. That would control the rotation, and then in here, we would use those to actually control the rotation in the exact same way that we're doing for the movement. So I'm trying, now we
Or we could ignore all that.
Yeah, we could ignore all of that and make code
And
that.
just do the check right there on the
Yeah.
spot like you were about to.
Yeah.
When you started typing F, I'm like, the only way that works is we're checking on the spot.
Yeah, so, I mean, yes, we could, just be aware that that's gonna create your, it'll make your code more confusing if you ever put it away for a few days and come back to it. Because you'll have some of your code handled one way and some of your code handled another way. And even though you're using two different approaches, they'll be right next to
As
you.
long as you leave good documentation, it should be okay. Right? If you just type in if this, if that, and then there's nothing that explains what you did.
Someone's gonna look at it like.
Somebody will open it to okay, he's passing in mouse position. They'll scroll through the functions, and then the mouse position is not even used.
Yeah, that's gonna.
Why is this being passed in?
Yeah, so.
This rookie, this noob.
This vector 2i is being passed by copy every time, every frame, and it's not even being used.
Yeah, so.
And then vector 2i is an object, right? It's probably a whatchamacallit.
The more I look at this, I'm confused why they designed it this way.
I want to say it's some sort of check. It is doing something.
They're going out of their way to store data that they don't need to store.
Question, so what's our objective at the moment?
So what we were trying to do is make it so in that zombie game. Have you seen the zombie game?
I haven't.
Go ahead and run the zombie game.
So essentially.
Well, let's go, Ryan.
Yeah, so this zombie game is run off of a mouse, by default. It's run off, you control it by mouse. What I was trying to do is eliminate the mouse control and make it all keyboard.
Oh.
Yeah, so right now aiming is controlled by the mouse. So it starts the game. So you can move around with WSD, but
It's right.
that movement is the
I
mouse.
see.
Wouldn't you just make a circle and?
We're trying to separate the.
Well, the thing is that for me to aim, I still have to use the mouse, and I don't want to use the mouse.
So you want it to take in another set of keys?
Yeah, another set of keys.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're trying to work around the existing system,
Yeah.
which is a little bit.
So we found where the mouse goes and how it's tracking it and how it's setting the angle. So all you have to do is replace the mouse with something else.
And it might be hard to see this because I'm trying to understand this several levels deeper.
There's a
But
half
the
hour
way it
left
looks
for
like
the
it's
library if
happening
you wanna go to the
is
library.
they aren't just checking is left pressed, not right pressed, not pressed, not pressed.
There's a
They're
PDF
checking
of
if those left, right, up, and down are pressed, and calling functions checking those to call functions to set variables to control movement. It's like they've intentionally created like a multi-step system just for controlling movement.
I think there's a reason.
There's gotta be a reason, because it's otherwise obtuse for just being the same.
Well, I guess the M position Y is a private class variable. So to adjust it, how would you do it the other way, I guess?
Right.
Because it has to be done from within a function call.
Right, and that does make sense. It just means that if we just throw in a bare if statement checking a key, we're sort of subverting this entire process that they've set up. So we can do that. We can subvert the entire process they've set up just to make it work. Or we could go through and actually do the things that they did so that it all works the same way, even if the outcome appears to be the same.
Also, this current code's not working, yeah.
Yeah, there were errors in there.
No, I mean like before we started making changes. Right?
Well, but before he ran it, there were errors. I think that's actually what most of the errors are. we can take a look at.
Well, most of the errors have to do with like health pickup isn't defined, player has no limit, get speed. So like, these are like just things that are just like,
It's just we're trying to do stuff that's not possible.
yeah. Which I think once we get rid of any mouse input.
I don't know if that makes sense, I think something like it.
Yeah, it's a mouse. I think you,
So,
I might have deleted some stuff back.
so the question is, do you wanna just make it work as quickly as possible? Or do you want me to walk you through the process of doing it the way that they did it for everything else?
Well, if we get rid of everything that they did, it wouldn't affect anything else, right? It would only affect that, the way that the character moves.
It should, yes.
Well, for the sake of breaking it and learning, let's go ahead and get rid of what
Is unnecessary, I guess, to make it work as quickly as possible.
So,
just do the checks in place.
you just do the checks right there.
Cause yeah, like if you walk back out and look up the whole,
Yes, I
press
mean,
down,
honestly-
press up.
I mean, honestly, yeah, to prevent any additional problems, to prevent any additional errors from appearing, try to avoid deleting anything, let's just go down and change that angle.
Okay. So we're gonna go down to,
So, we've got the angle, so you're gonna insert code between what's currently lines 154 and 155, yeah, so right in there.
so if, then parentheses and position, right?
You wanna check these.
I wanna say go to main, and you could steal, or zombie arena CDP.
This one?
Yeah. And then scroll through here until you see a key detection. Where, keep going, it'll be in the, update loop, or no, yeah, the player, or whatever, keep going.
It's gonna be farther down.
Further down, yeah, we gotta have, this is all set up, you're not even in the
This,
loop yet.
this is almost, this looks like a five.
All set up, oh, they added sound. Okay, keep going,
Oh, they do it. Ooh. I think they're doing keyboard input in a different way than what you're used to.
they,
Oh,
this
there
keyboard
it is,
is
there it
key
is.
right here, copy that.
So see that, yeah, right there, keyboard, colon, is key pressed, keyboard, colon, escape. That's checking if the escape key is pressed. All we have to do is change the word escape to something else and double check for other keys.
So we'll do it twice.
So now I'm going here
So
and.
you just delete that, then paste it, what you got.
So if,
That's it.
this is where you pick your favorite key. What?
Terminate and take off that second, parentheses.
No, you're gonna wanna close curly bracket here, because that's how those statements work.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So, just delete one too many. So, if,
So keep that in the curly brackets?
wait, you need another close parenthesis, you need two. Now open curly bracket,
Open curly
and yeah, I added the close bracket, so you'll add the code in between the open and the close.
bracket. Okay. So then I'm gonna put,
So, well, which key do you wanna press for counterclockwise rotation?
if J.
You don't need the other if, we already have it.
Oh,
So,
Okay.
the code that we've already put in there is the if statement. If keyboard is key pressed, keyboard something, right now it's escape. What key do you want to be whatever key you want to be counterclockwise movement, replace the word escape though.
I see, okay. Gosh. Alright, that makes sense.
Looks like it is. Okay, now you can split this across multiple lines to get editor. Hit enter right now. There we go. We'll add the if statement coding on multiple lines in between the brackets. So then,
That is left, right? Move left.
what we want is a counterclockwise rotation, right? So I believe that is, Oh gosh, I don't even know, would that be subtracting the angle or adding the angle?
Up to you. I think you'll figure it out once you start
I
playing.
mean, we could do trial and error. Go ahead and, we wanna let's try
Well,
subtracting.
hold on, what's your, assuming it starts at 0, when you add, you'll turn to the right, so when you subtract,
Is
you'll
it,
turn to the left.
is it following rotation like a clock? Or
I
is it
don't
following
know.
rotation like polar coordinates? I mean, I don't know.
True.
So,
We'll
we,
find out.
so let's make it subtraction, and if it feels backwards, we switch them.
So then I'll say.
So,
You can
wanna
just
try?
do
You
angle,
wanna-
so no, get rid of that, just do angle.
Angle.
Minus equals,
Angle minus.
equals 10,
10's probably a lot.
you think so?
Yeah, because if every frame 10 degrees,
Yeah.
only 36 frames for full rotation, like half a second for a full rotation.
Huh?
That feels pretty fast.
Too bad, 5 then?
Maybe 5. 5 might work, and we can adjust from there.
If it's too fast, yeah, and then terminate. And that's it. So now when you press J, he should rotate 5 degrees.
Does it matter if it's a capital J or lowercase j?
It should just be the keyboard J. So now, before we test it, we do have to fix all those other errors, otherwise I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
So let's locate those. Those are all
I
solved.
think, I'm gonna be honest, wouldn't it be easier to just copy out the correct one and paste it right back?
Well, let's take a quick look at it. Because right now it just doesn't know what this health pickup and ammo pickup are. So somewhere in the main function. So you look.
Four seventy-six.
So it doesn't know what health pickup is. You're trying to make something of type health pickup, but health pickup does not exist. For the sake of fixing this quickly, try just commenting out the line. Does that cause further errors, or does that fix things? Looks like it doesn't cause further errors, so we're just gonna leave that out for the time being. Now you're trying to call player.getSpeed. Player does not have a get speed. So let's go here. Player's playing. Movements key pressed. Wait, is this also controlling player movement?
I think that's a setup for the beginning.
I'm not sure exactly, because it looks like what you're trying to do is move the player here. But I thought that's what we were doing in that other thing. Is this perhaps code that you copied in at some point?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't main, it wouldn't be able to access. If you go back up, those are private variables, no?
Oh,
Movement.y, like what is movement.y? The vector 2f, that it's storing?
That's the,
Player.getSpeed times dt is
Okay,
it's
yeah.
storing something, it's not updating the speed.
I think this is something that he copied in, because this is redundant from the code that we was looking at.
Was it trying to, okay, so you prompted this, right,
Yeah,
AI generated?
yeah.
Okay, so the
I did
AI
Yeah.
was trying to get two floats
Yeah.
of x and y to calculate
Yeah, it's,
angle?
yeah, the AI told you, this is the code that you need to move the player.
Yeah.
But that code already exists in that other place we were looking at.
And
So,
that's what I didn't understand, was that
Did you say rotation, or did you say movement?
so I put in the code, the original code,
Uh-huh.
right? But here's the thing that I didn't understand was that this had to be in the player's CPP, and I was taking it from the zombie arena CPP.
So you only gave it a zombie arena
Yeah, I only gave
so
it-
it had no idea
Yeah.
that the other code existed.
Yeah.
So let's just.
Cause there's like 8 .h files here, or
Yeah,
whatever.
let's just comment this chunk of code out, so
Okay.
go to the top before it, let's see.
Again, I feel it'd be a lot easier to just
Uh,
paste in the working zombie arena
Eh,
than to untangle.
I reckon we can find it ourselves, if you scroll up a little bit more. I have a feeling. Okay, so that's main, okay. So, I reckon it was the health and ammo, that's probably where, you're right, it probably is your copy in the, I'm trying to untangle what was created by AI and what was there originally.
It is a type of puzzle, I think about it.
Dude, that's, take a look at that one.
Right, cause you could just, if you have the whole file.
Obfuscation? Obfuscation? Of the data?
Yeah, that one. And then, I'm trying to remember, was it chapter 13? Perfect. So open it in, not like right click, and open with Notepad. Copy that and paste it in. Control A, Control C.
It's 713 lines.
9. I'm typing them out.
And that's,
I've been following the book, and the book makes me type it up.
yeah, I mean, this is more along the lines of what real programs look like.
I'm like pretty deep in it, I'm already fine, I was like, what's happening, dude? There's like all of these.
I mean,
Do they need this many pages?
I mean, that's 713 for one file.
That's from Maine.
That's from
That's
Maine.
not all the Donnie.
That's not all, any of the
Yeah,
.h is the other
I think you just need those two files.
This is a real approach.
but
Right,
This
and
is
the whole
where
thing, it's using,
the book
whatchamacallit, it has to do a conversion too for the mouse
I
points.
downloaded the book.
Cause the mouse is in the main screen, but the actual screen that you're seeing is actually offset to the middle. That's how they're moving the guy around or
I'm
whatever.
not too familiar with.
So it has to convert
System.
current screen position into that screen position.
And how to get our names inside it. Yeah. Or the yes code.
Is that the same problem? Is the problem present in the original code? That's how it's solved problem.
Did you post your project in the Discord, Christian?
I have no,
His is in posted.
no.
Which
You
one?
can,
This
so-
is in the book file.
Yeah, the book file.
Which chapter?
I wanna say the whole completed game is 13, let me see. I'll tell you the exact chapter it ends. I have the physical book.
We have the same problem.
no.
The PDF is on there.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
PDF of this is on there.
Yeah, those are original.
And it has all the files.
So the problems were in the original. They weren't
Okay. So yeah, it should be 13. 13 should be the final chapter for this game. But you have to, I need to update the instructions on how to link it. Because you have to link the library for it to just work out of the box.
Oh.
Otherwise, you have to use the preset one. If you download the preset file, do you have Visual Studio installed?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, just download the preset one, and then follow the instructions for that, and see if you can run that
I
file.
should have noted down.
It should give you like a little B game with like pieces in it, and if that works, then you can import the
Even if
rest
I
of
did,
this.
I would have probably more than likely not been taking it.
Kind of just on your follow
for
along.
the player. One of the-
Go for it, yeah.
Just trying to understand why it's working the way it is.
I told you mine was broken.
This game's no good.
Pull up that code on my own.
You can check the PDF, I mean, yeah, the book PDF, maybe explain it.
Well, I'm just confused why the actual file that's being provided has errors in it. Because he copied in the original and it still has errors.
Oh, I wanna say the book code is not actually lining up with this code that the files are. I wanna say it's like an outdated version, maybe, I never got it, or legit, somebody typed this up and just uploaded it.
You said you legit typed it up?
No, somebody could have legit typed it up and uploaded it, and that's why you see errors sometimes. Cause like you were having that one error, remember, where you were saying, there was an error in the code for the lumberjack game, I think, right?
What's the virtual environment for Mac?
What?
So,
Yeah, VMware.
from what I'm
Yeah,
seeing,
VMware.
I think he might have
Virtual
modified
box
the
and stuff
original
like
file.
that. I didn't actually.
Because I'm not seeing that error, I'm not even seeing those lines of code in
That's
the
what
version that I have.
That would make sense.
Oh, no, it's like your.
I probably would have done something like that.
Oh, is it running these
I'm not
times?
sure if I'll be able to run this, but.
And that might be.
I'm gonna link and upload the zombie game so that we have a working one, and then I got like,
I probably would have done something like that, it would be.
but you gotta link it, you gotta link up all the stuff. You gotta link all the libraries. The PDF goes over it. But it's a little bit annoying.
Zombie arena, open in text.
What was I trying to do?
Have you guys tried the Windows on ARM yet?
The Windows dot what?
On ARM?
No. What is that?
ARMs? The Windows for ARM.
They gave them arms.
I don't know, I just have easy, I was wondering if it had good support, you know what I mean? Cause like, I just tried using Google Flex again, but it still won't let you code on it. If you use the web apps and stuff, but I guess there's some restrictions there.
Yours works, right, Professor? It's already linked?
I haven't actually run the zombie game yet. Well, I did that one time.
Because if it runs, can you zip it and upload it to the Discord? That way you can just open it.
Okay, I think it got the original one.
Yeah, try saving and running it.
Still has these errors, but this shouldn't.
But it's not pointing to anything real. Yeah, it just has Visual Studio's just behind. If you try actually running it, that's the previous list. This is changed, not Lois. So the changing disk lost is the current changes are saved. Yes.
You lose the old program, those changes.
Okay, it's gone. list of errors. That's a no.
Yeah,
That's much,
Visual
that's
Studio
a
on
much
there?
better list of errors.
There. Full.
Illegal qualifying name in the declaration.
I was looking at that.
Pick up being called, pick up.
Like that.
Pick up being called.
Where?
Wait, this is in
Their,
oh.
SDK.
Delete the pickup colon. They made a mistake.
Yeah, that was from last time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You still want the one word pickup. You just wanted to get rid of it. Before it was pickup colon pickup, you just wanted to say pickup. There we go. So that was a small mistake on their part, now it should run. Hopefully, unless there's any other errors, of course there are. Alright, say no. Oh yay, it's this error. I love this error. If anybody, I swear, if anybody can figure out why this error happens, I'll give you an A in all of my classes. I don't know what causes this. I don't know how to fix it other than just close Visual Studio and reopen it. This is not a problem with the code, this is a problem with Visual Studio not knowing what to do.
Do I save?
Yeah, it's safe. I mean, again, it's not the code that's the problem. You just want to, Visual Studio is getting confused and I don't know why.
You just did some weird shit.
It's like, it never happens on my computer. It only ever happens to my students and I can't figure it out. It happens at random. Like, I'll just be going through a lab and somebody will like, hey, it happened again. It's like, cool, close and build the Visual Studio again because I don't know why it happened and I don't know how else to fix it other than just tell Visual Studio to start over.
It's like the kid that tries to pour milk into their cereal bowl and just the milk just spills out.
This is just Microsoft testing. It's like, oh, you want to use our software? Well, it'll work 99% of the time. But since you're in a class with 40 students, it means once a day. That's not something's going to go wrong. Seriously though, if you guys ever figure out what causes that error, like, I am this close to putting out an actual bounty. I hate it. Close Visual Studio, reopen it, you say run, and it's probably going to be fine. Probably. No. Okay, so it's a real problem. It's not the problem I was complaining about, it's a real problem. That's not gonna help you.
No, sometimes it helps. Linker
Oh,
error.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, at the top, do you have?
Their wiki is like hit or miss. It's either right on or it's way off.
Yeah.
It doesn't help, it's worthless.
Yep. Linker error 1168. The linker can't write to file name. The file may be in use and its file handle locked by another process. It's a permissions issue. To fix this issue, ensure that the file handle is not locked. Is this the file that you have open in Word, in Notepad? WordPad, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Okay, close it. That's probably the problem. I don't think this is the issue that my students have. It's close, but not exactly. 1168, it still thinks it's open. I hate to tell you this, but I think the solution is to restart your computer. Does
this need to be in it?
It's not the code. I swear to you, the problem's not inside of the code. This isn't even Visual Studio. That is a Windows problem. I know why it's happening. I don't know how to fix it other than restart the computer.
What's that packet tracer? Any good or is it junk?
It's alright. Yeah, Wireshark.
Nah, the Cisco packet tracer. No, Wireshark is.
if anybody's curious as to why, the operating system controls what files are being accessed when. And so that means you can't have, unless you set up a program specifically to work this way, you can't have two things access the same file at the same time. That prevents you from running into like paradoxes where program 1 tries to write to file A, and program 2 tries to write to file A at the exact same millisecond, and then the file doesn't know what it is, that kind of thing. So the operating system is what controls that. And for some reason, Visual Studio gets confused. It says, I'm accessing this file, but it never lets go. Like it grabs onto it, it tells the operating system, I want to use this file, and it never says, I'm giving up this file. So it's holding on to it, it's reserved it, and it will not let it go. And so the only way to let it go is to tell Windows itself, start over. Restart, reset all file permissions. If that error pops up again, then I think it's lying to us. Because I'm pretty sure I know what's going on, I just wish I knew better ways of fixing it. Try running it.
So there's nothing.
You should be able to sit around, it'll run the project as a whole. We'll see if it actually knows what it's doing this time. If it comes up with the same error, which it didn't, I told you it was a permissions thing. Okay. Now try running it and then hit change. See if anything we've done has actually had any impact.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. It looks like 5 is pretty fast.
But I died. Why?
So we're now controlling the player rotation. It's just very fast and only counterclockwise, and it doesn't move the cursor.
But I'm dying. Why am I dying?
I think those zombies just have a way bigger hitbox than they appear to. That zombie's on there. Yeah, I think they can just hit you from like
Hard
a
mode.
full space away. I don't know why. But we got the player rotation in. That's like step 1 of 20.
Yes.
Well, doing clockwise rotation is going to be basically the same thing. You just add in another if statement. You can just even copy paste, but for whatever other key you wanted, like K. So 5 was pretty fast. You might want to slow it down if you want more granular control over your speed.
1.
Maybe you might even have to go with a number less than 1. Like this is trial and error. You'll just have to mess around with it.
And then I'll go, good.
You don't want to make it outside of those curves.
Oh, okay.
But the if statement's actually going to be basically the same thing, just with a different key. Add to instead of subtract, so you go the other way. After this semicolon after the 0.5. And the K key needs to be a capital K. have to find out wherever in the code it's controlling when the player collects the zombie. Yeah, that's a bit more natural. Move and rotate.
What'd you end up doing? Putting that mouse on him and then,
Now, the mouse is currently not in play at all. We're just rotating him independently.
just really slow?
Yeah. In fact, the fact that the mouse is independent of it,
I just saw that the crosshair was like on top of the guy a minute ago.
it was, now it's way up there. I think it's just irrelevant. Zombies have a much larger reach than they appear to. So, controlled player rotation, then you'd have to actually also make changes to how the bullets are fired so that they fire towards the direction you're facing. We've gotten the first step down.
Player hit, last hit, get last. How am I gonna prevent them from killing me from like a mile away?
So I think it is, player.hit is where the code that controls what happens when you get hit. So, or in other words, this is what happens when you get hit. You need to find when you get hit. So we're looking for the place that calls this function player hit. So that's going to be in the main function. So zombie reward, SCP. We want to look for the hit function, wherever a hit is happening. Because the behavior for when you get hit, or the behavior for what happens when you get hit is correct. It's just you're getting hit more than you should. So we need to find out wherever hit is happening, we need to make the conditions for it happening a little bit more lenient. Now we do a search for text. You know how to do that?
No.
Control F. Type the text you're looking for. In this case, it's hit. I think it's just hit, not get hit. And then you use the arrow in that little window, the side arrow. The one's pointing to the right. Yeah, that'll find the next instance. So right now it's finding the HIT in white. We don't want that. We're looking for actually hit. Hit. None of those are player by hit. Zombie got hit. So that's what happens when the zombies get hit, but not the player. There we go. If player dot hit, have any of the zombies touch the player? So now we need to modify this code to see, to make it a bit more lenient. So right now, what it's doing is it has a loop checking every single zombie. And it's saying, okay, if the player's position intersects the zombie's position, any zombie's position, the player gets hit. Also, the zombies have to be alive. So it looks like it's just checking if the zombie and the player overlap. Now, I think there's a bit of a disconnect here, because if we actually look at the game,
Yeah.
you're getting hit when it looks like you're at a distance. So it seems like the space that the players and the zombies are taking up is larger than what they're appearing as. So in other words, we have something along these lines where we have, let's say, our player and a zombie. They're touching, but our player looks like this, and our zombie looks like this. And so it looks like, if you look just at the image, it looks like there's a gap between them. But if you look at the actual bounding marks, the hit marks, whatever you choose to call it, they're actually still overlapping. That's a bit of a harder problem to fix.
Because that's based off of a PNG file, right? And how it's basically PNG file is on the.
Well, yes, I think so. I think that might be what's happening is the PNG file has an empty space that's counting as collision, but doesn't appear. So the options, I think, would be, shrink the PNG files to the bare minimum, like that, so that it's much more accurate. Or find a way to.
Would that make the box smaller as we shrink the PNG file? I think they're tied together.
That's the thing is.
I think you can adjust the boundary of the guide.
The other way would be to find a way
Set
to
boundary I think there's a get boundary and set boundary. So you could literally do it all in one line.
Yeah, we have to independently, we have to make the hitbox of our character / zombie independent from the actual size of the image. So, looks like it's not already in the code.
Wherever the character is set up, you can just throw it in right there, right? Because after he's made, you can do whatever his character's name is, get boundary. Actually, you literally do set boundary, and inside you give boundary, and you decrease it.
The hard part's going to be finding where they're set up.
Well, it should be in player, right there, player.
Is it?
It says player, so if you open the player.h.
Yeah, so that's the thing is, it's not here in name, it's in the actual player class.
Yeah, probably.
So.
There's an M sprite,
Yeah.
an M texture.
Okay. Well,
So sprites where you get boundary, right?
So I think what we want is, go ahead and scroll down, does this class have a constructor?
It should be
Keep scrolling down. We do,
right there.
player. So we want to look in the player.cpp. Or for the function that's just called play. So we're looking for player, : player. This is what we're looking for.
And there it is. So right after set origin, you could probably do it. Right? Because that's what setting origin to the middle of the guide.
Yeah, so next add on to the end.
Hey, Gideon, what's the : doing?
This is, we're specifying that this function belongs to the class. So this whole program uses object-oriented design.
Right.
So what we've done is we've made this thing called a player. And a player has some data, and a player has some functions that it can do. So here we're defining what those functions are. So we're not just saying, so for example, if we look at the spawn, we're not just saying, here's a function that we can do called spawn.
Right.
We're saying there's something a player can do called spawn. So So we're saying this isn't just a spawn,
Right.
this is the player's spawn.
Okay, yeah. Another odd.
So it belongs, this is the spawn function that belongs to player,
To the
as
player
opposed to,
object.
yeah, as opposed to,
Just being open and available.
yeah,
all members.
just being a global level function.
Right, global.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a class function. It's required here in C++. Other programming languages don't have this limitation. So inside of our player : player, we want to say something along the lines of, what was it? Set boundary? Oh, sprite got set boundary, right? Sprite. Sprite. Set boundary, I don't actually know what set boundary does. What is set boundary even looking for? I don't even know. Go ahead and,
But try it on a different line, to delete that, try it again on a different line, after this.
we want, the set origin line needs to be how it was before, so.
Yeah.
So on the next line, the semicolon's gotta be on the previous line. Every line needs its semicolon,
Yeah,
and then on the next line after that,
yeah,
and sprite, underscore set boundary, and that should probably try and autocomplete for you. Set. I don't actually know the names of the functions, is that not an option?
it could be set texture rect,
Set texture rect,
I'm not sure, actually, what are those?
sets the sub rectangle the texture of the display, the texture of each one, you don't want to display the whole texture, but other part of it.
No,
that doesn't
this
seem
would
right.
shrink it.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
What else is there? The structure says set scale, that would make it smaller, set color order, is there anything higher up? Did we miss something?
There's gotta be a way to separate,
Set local bounds?
would set, let's see.
Return
there's
rate.
two- Probably, is there a set local bounds, not just a get local bounds? It does not look like it. It does not look like there's a set local bounds.
Those are gets, yeah.
Hmm.
So I guess you can't shrink, it's,
I don't know what's capable in SFML. It seems
well,
like.
we're not seeing it, yeah.
Yeah,
So you'd have to do it differently. What about on the collision detection, can you directly minus from that?
yeah, we can do some math to just shrink
Because
it.
like, the intersects, can you minus from those values?
Yeah, we
So
can.
there's an X, Y, you go like, okay, the X of my guy plus, minus 5? So even though you're technically intersecting, it's actually slightly in.
I suppose, it's possible, it's just gonna require some really uncomfortable math. Not uncomfortable, but complicated, just for the sake of being complicated.
Okay, just throw it over there.
Let me take a look at this. What about, how is the actual player?
So would it be get local bounds because there hasn't been any
Well,
boundaries?
if it says get, it means it's gonna give you a value,
Oh,
right? That's why you can go, okay, well, get local bounds will give you the boundaries of this object. Then you can use those values to do something else. So the set ones are the ones that let you modify, because you're setting values. So getters get values, sets set values. That's usually what classes have, a setter and a getter. So if you wanted to change something, it'd be a set. If you wanted to get something from it, it'd be a get.
You can't just add it?
You could program it, yeah. That would be advanced though. These are given to you, right? And then these aren't even part of this game, so to speak. That's an underlying language functionality. Somebody else built those that you're now using.
So then we would have to build the set
You would have to know how SFML, like, what you're doing is just like using the tools given to you. This is like how the inside of the tool works. You're going, hey, like, we could add more stuff to inside of this drill. You're like, no, the drill itself is a pretty, you using it to drill, you're trying to add more to it.
Yeah.
You would have to know a lot about the drill.
Yeah.
It's a more complicated problem, that seems. Looking at the actual zombie and player images.
But what was the issue? There should be a timeout, by the way. When the zombie collides with you, there is a timeout. The zombie can't hit you multiple times.
Well, yeah, the issue is that
Oh,
even
like
though it
2 tiles away.
even though it looks like they're not close enough to touch, the player's getting hit.
So it's still being detected?
Yeah, so the issue is I'm looking at the zombie image now, and it really does look like, it's from an overhead, so it's like,
Can you
here's his
run it
head,
again? Can you run it
here's his
again?
shoulders, and here's his arms. So this is the image, but it's stored like this. That's the actual image. So if the zombie's here, and the player's here.
Are you saying we
like
take
here,
the image into a photo editor and
and cut out some of the empty space? That's
trim out the empty space? That's the way we would correct the boundaries?
Believe it or not, I think that's the simplest solution. Yeah.
And that's programming,
Like,
baby.
that's the thing, that SFML is not giving us options for working around it.
I have another potential solution, but it might be pretty annoying.
What do we got?
We could make another sprite for just a picture of the player, and then we'll shrink the box, but then as part of the event loop, we'll also need to have that sprite always take the same position as the player. It's a pretty annoying solution.
Okay,
Yeah.
a different sprite with smaller, okay, cause you can get local bounds. So you can make a new sprite, set the bounds of this one, and then shrink that guy, scale him.
Yeah, basically.
And use him for collision detection
Yeah.
instead of your actual sprite.
Yeah, create a smaller invisible image that sits on top of your player at all times, and say, you don't get hit if the player collides with the zombie, you get hit if this invisible little target collides with the zombie, which is much smaller.
You don't even need a sprite, you could do the tech, you could create a rectangle. I forget how to declare it. You just create a rectangle, you make him the same size as this sprite, you scale it down, you have it follow your character, and have it detect collision against this instead of the player. Which can actually work, right? Because then next time, you don't have to mess with images every time. You're creating a problem that's gonna keep hitting you.
Yeah.
But with this solution, technically, it is the proper workaround, I think.
Yeah.
So then I would have to define the rectangle and
You know the gets right there?
yeah.
So when you define, you can go, hey, make my rectangle, set my rectangle size to this guy's size. Right? And then you can take that same thing and go scale it down now.
But, like you were saying, it would have to be a sprite of its own.
That would be, but the easier thing it would be to just use the rectangle option because it's less overhang. But you can right now get a sprite. Yeah, you could even load it underneath your character as a joke.
We have the M sprite, so we'll need another object, or another attribute in the player object.
So, let's do this the right way. So go ahead and delete that line that you have right now. We're gonna do this the right way, even if it sounds like it's too much work, trust me, this is the right way to do it. Go to player.h.
Go to player.h.
We're gonna start by making a whole new box that belongs to the player. So, at roughly close to the top,
Did you wanna do the
above the
sprite
public
or-
colon. So, just above the public colon. So,
Just above the public.
yeah, above it, so line 38, or whatever, somewhere around there, as long as it's above the public colon. So we want to create our rectangle here, so capital R rectangle,
Rectangle shape.
is that what it's called?
I
Rectangle
think
shape?
so. So if you do that,
Alright, so I have that, and then we have to give it a name, probably hitbox. Or maybe if we wanted to follow the naming scheme.
hitbox is good with a big B and not
Yeah,
a
but-
small h, yeah. Here we go, perfect. Terminate,
Our player now has a hitbox.
next line.
No? Wait, what are you gonna create?
Eh,
I was gonna say, now we wanna jump over to the constructor. So, we now
Okay.
have this thing called the hitbox, so yeah, semicolon.
Oh, someone's on.
Yep. Now we need to make sure that that hitbox is itself created correctly. We're gonna go do this, back in player.cpp, back in the player colon player.
true.
So here, somewhere in here, it actually doesn't matter what line it is on, as long as it's in between those brackets.
Well,
We're
I
gonna
think
say,
after, right, cause you have to, after the set texture happens for M sprite is when he gets his dimensions.
oh, but it doesn't, but we're creating the rectangle independently, so it doesn't really matter.
Are we using,
Oh, yeah, I guess we should.
we're using the get, right?
Yeah,
Cause you
sure.
could go hitbox dot set,
Yeah, so
and
either
then M
way,
sprite dot get.
we wanna say, so what we wanna do is, inside the brackets, so just go with that close bracket. We wanna say, hitbox, and then, what functions do we hit? Dot, what are the functions available to us?
Dot set something,
Dot,
set.
set,
You can type out set and it'll show you the set ones.
set size probably. That sounds probably like the correct choice.
Set the
Set the
size.
size of the rectangle, that sounds right.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
Close
parentheses, and inside you're gonna do M sprite, dot get size, parentheses.
Does it have size?
You should size.
I don't think so, I don't know if sprites have a
Local
size, they have a
bounds?
scale. I guess local bounds probably,
Is this scale right there?
Yeah, but scale lets you make it bigger or smaller, I think. So it'll just return a 1-1 if
Okay,
it's
local bounds should be-
regular size,
Yes, I think it is.
with parentheses.
Because it's a function. So you need an open and closed parenthesis after you get local bounds. Get local bounds, local closed bounds, I guess,
So inside the other
get
parentheses.
local bounds, open closed parenthesis,
One
and the
more.
other closed parenthesis.
Well,
Oh, no?
yeah, it's a parentheses,
So we
one
have-
more close, there you go.
There's two sets of open and closed parentheses, and see how they match up.
They're returning the wrong side. What does set size mean? And
Put
what
a
is?
semicolon on it, just make sure. Okay, there's an error, what is it not like?
What does set size need as its parameters, and what does get local bounds return?
Do I need to put a parenthesis?
Hold on.
in this?
Hover-
If you,
hover over the line
if you
with the
hang
arrow.
over set size, then just go.
Hold on, hover over the line with the arrow, I wanna see what the, oh no. Hover over what the line with the arrow is.
No, you're having too much fun, dude.
No, so-
Hour and a half battery life, bro?
Okay.
No, I was working on my computer.
So yeah, so get local bounds is returning a different thing than set size is looking for. So if you check what set size is looking for.
Size wants.
Oh, they plug in my charger.
Cause I'm trying to remember,
It wants,
is there a set local bound?
it wants a rectangle. No, I think it's. Stop sucking, answer my own questions.
Once the metrics go out.
Can you hover over the set size? And it'll say what it wants.
Yeah.
So after hitbox, double click the set size. What's it saying? Just now that box. Okay, so it wants a vector 2 float. Right? And if you go over get local bounds, what does it return? Get the local bound and go return coordinates. It's returning coordinates. That's not what we want.
You could take out the, deconstruct this coordinate.
Well, we're trying to get a size, not a coordinate, so get local bounds is the wrong function call, it's something else. We need a 2F, so if you go back to just get, let's look for something that sounds more correct. So get rid of the get to it, and start typing. Get, no, local bounds, origin, position, keep going.
That's the full graph.
Is there other gets? Get texture, what is texture return? This one? Get texture rect, what is get texture rect? Get the cell recommended display this, right? Would that work? Can we try that? Let's look at that. Get rect to in the chat.
What do we scale?
Get scale, that'd be just 1, because it, like, the regular scale is always 1. So unless we've changed it, it's always gonna be 1.
Shouldn't we put the hitbox in, instead of set origin, that one, maybe the other, where it has the load from file, graphics player? Or that, or it doesn't matter?
What?
So you know how we have the hitbox, this line of code right here, on line 15? Would it make a difference if we moved it under the texture code, line of code, where it loads the PNG from the graphic?
No, like, it's saying what you're giving me doesn't match what I'm asking. Remember that vector 2i thing?
Mhm.
Right, so dot set size goes, I want to float. What you're giving me is not to float.
Mm.
There should be a sprite call that returns to float. Set position.
That went away, get position.
It could be like where you have to go like get local bounds on it.
I put get position in the arrow away.
And then return to float rect.
I believe float rect is what we want. I don't think we want rectangle shape.
We could get the size of the rectangle.
Float rect is what we want, not rectangle shape. Yeah, that might be it.
I believe that's actually.
That sounds right to
I
me.
think rectangle shape is used for drawing rectangles onto the screen.
Yeah.
I think float rect is a much more generic, much more useful thing.
We have the functions for the, because I wanna say return float rect.
So instead of rectangle shape, it would be float rectangle?
Just float rect.
Float rect.
Yeah. Capital F, capital R.
Float rect, hitbox.
Is there a set local bounds?
Mm-hmm.
If you go back, yeah. So,
Instead of set size, set.
yeah, is there a set local bounds? What are the options? Set.
I
Huh.
think we just set it, we could set it directly, I think.
Well, float, hitbox is now an object of the float rec class. So when you type in hitbox dots, can you go back again to the dots? Maybe it's misunderstanding. Back up one more and then dot setting it, if it's correct. Oh, I guess it is direct, huh? It's a different, so hitbox is not a class, it's a whatchamacallit.
Except position and size.
It's a structure. Float rect is a structure? Yeah, cause when you go dot, it doesn't give you setters, it just gives you the inside values.
So then we would do, sprite dot set origin.
It doesn't have
hitbox.
setters, but it does have some functions.
When you go dot, it gives you like height, width, it just gives you physical, like,
It's got-
actual numbers to put in.
It's got intersects.
It has intersects,
Yeah.
so you can do a hitbox, get local
Yeah,
value.
you can't just set its size otherwise, it has to be inside of the constructor. So,
Can it? Cause like right now, if you do a hitbox dot width, I think you can set its width. Right, there's height, there's width, there's intersects. Okay, so there's two functions contained in intersects, but then there's actual parameters right there, width, top, left, height.
okay. I think I've, oh, I can't change its position though. Gosh, this is.
There's no deposition, so maybe rectangles have more than it.
It does have a position, can we just not change its position? I don't know enough about SFML.
Well, this is half for fun.
So you're saying the hitbox right now is an object, and it's not,
Well, it's an object, it's
It's
actually a
not-
structure, right? No, but it has functions, so it's still a class then. The fact that you could access the left top width, height, means that it made those public instead of private.
and if it's public, that means it's a class.
If it's public, that means you could access them right here, left top width, right? But if they were private, they would only be accessible from inside of the class function. It's called encapsulation or whatever. Is there, if you go to Zombie Arena, CVB, do you control find, like, rect or something?
Low rec.
Okay, main view, no, keep going, next. Int, rect, arena, keep going. Alright, same one, what was the other one? We did float rect, and the first one was rectangle?
Yeah.
Do we just do the sprite then? We're wasting our time. Just make a sprite, another one.
This is, yeah.
Don't give it a texture.
There's any number of ways we can solve this problem, and it's going to take us like an hour and a half to do all of it.
No,
That's
if we do
the
sprite,
thing.
if we do sprite right now, we can do it.
Here's the thing, do you have PowerPoint? I know this sounds like it's not related, do you have PowerPoint?
I do.
Okay, I know this, I swear to you, we can use PowerPoint to shrink the stupid image and cut out the empty space. I swear to you, you don't need Photoshop.
No, but then you have to do it to all the images.
Just
Try
for students
on,
on it,
instead
like-
of float right hitbox, you do
Look at the
sprite,
designer.
sprite.
It's like this,
Can we do a sprite? Instead of float right, do sprite. Let's see if we can just do it right now, real quick. Sprite, what we got?
Sprite hitbox.
Yeah, just type in sprite with the big
actually,
ass.
it's not terrible.
There we go. Okay, we got hitbox. Now go back to the other one.
Player.
Yeah, and do hitbox dot set local bounds. Is there a set? Set local bounds, the top one right there.
That's get local bounds.
Where's the set?
I don't think there is one. There's no set local bounds, there's only get local bounds.
Set texture rectangle? Would that work?
Here's
There
what
is a way to just pass the damn,
Alright.
what is it
Set the
called?
sub-rectangle of the texture that the sprite will display. the
So
texture
here's what we're gonna do. We have,
Wait, what's wrong with the approach?
here.
We don't know how to get the size of the guy
Here's-
and put it into this other object that we're trying to detect against.
Alright, here's what, okay, I just came up with it, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create an entirely second guy. Listen, here.
There's a way to do this,
No,
it's so stupid.
There isn't a way to do it, here's what we're gonna do, we create
It's
two
just
guys.
staring us in the face.
Bear with me, we create two guys. The one normal that we can see, and a second one that's half his size and invisible.
Oh, so that side.
Then we just use that.
Oh my god, this is that League of Legends lore or whatever.
Then we don't need to worry about anything else because he uses the same texture. That's the thing. Just bear with me, this is the simplest solution I've come up with so far that isn't editing the image. So, we have our hitbox as a sprite, yes? So, set texture of hitbox to m_texture. In other words, hitbox has the same exact texture as the guy. They're identical.
Yeah, there's a way to do it, dude. I've seen it. I've seen it in the code.
So hit dot.
If you can find it, then
It's like int rect or whatever the freak. It gives you the whole objects, the whole height, top, left, right. It hands you the whole thing.
So you want hitbox.setTexture and texture. It's going to look just like line 12.
It might be a pass by reference, so any edits we do to the hitbox with texture.
Just parentheses and texture.
There's like a proper way to do it. I remember.
No, it's
I
just
remember
like-
seeing it.
It's
It's
gonna
just
look like
we don't
line
have enough.
12.
You know, we don't know the SFML that much.
So,
There's a way to do it for sure.
Texture, parentheses, and texture.
Did you guys do it last class?
They were doing it for some of the text. They're like taking the size of the box and moving it over. I've seen it done.
Hitbox.setScale. Yeah, open parenthesis, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, comma 0.5. So now this guy is half the size of the other one. So, semicolon. Then, next line, hitbox dot, actually,
No, in the update, whenever.
not yet, one more step. We actually want this to be on the line before the set scale. I made a mistake. Line, so in between set texture and set scale, hitbox dot set origin 2525. Just like the.
This is true. It would be colliding off the top.
Yeah, so set origin, that's 25, 25. So now, we have a second guy, a second sprite for the guy, that's set up exactly the same way, except he's half the size. If we never tell it to draw, it will never appear. So we're just not gonna update, we're just not gonna draw it. What we do need to do is update its position to always be in the same location.
And then we have to change
as
the
guy.
intersection to.
Yes, so.
Don't forget to terminate line 16.
So then in update, so further down, wherever that update function was.
Search for where this M sprite is changed.
There it is. Very last line before the close bracket. make sure that no matter what's happened, this guy's set to the same position. So there we go. So
Yeah.
after the set rotation angle.
This is where we set the angle. If you go up again a little
So,
bit.
no, we wanna do this after. So, next line, right there. First of all, let's make sure they both have the same angle, so that we're not having a guy looking this way being treated as a guy looking this way. So, hitbox
Does
dot
it
set
matter
angle.
that he's at a square, right?
But depending on how the main, image is rotated, changes how that bounding box appears.
Yeah, because of the, okay, I guess you could have a sharp edge.
Yeah, so hitbox,
A sharp top.
set rotation. And then inside parentheses, m_sprite dot get rotation.
You just do angle right there.
I guess we could just do it. That's my bad. We could have just done it, but it's the same,
We said it, but then we did it.
Don't worry about it. So yeah, set rotation with an open close parenthesis on it. So get rotation with an open close parenthesis because it's a function.
So M sprite.
So msprite dot get rotation. What you just had. Whenever you have the function, you have to end it with an open and close parenthesis. Sometimes with something inside it, sometimes not. In this case.
Sometimes.
And then you do
One more.
close parenthesis.
This is original.
There we go. Okay, they have the same rotation.
Parentheses are getting out
Now
of
we want-
hand, dude.
Yeah, now we want to make sure they have the same position. So hitbox dot set position. If you can't handle parentheses, you need to get out of computer science.
Nah, just pick a different language, and one without parentheses.
Yeah, just pick Lisp.
There you go.
You ever seen Lisp?
This guy gets it.
This is Lisp. This is the language of Lisp.
Nice.
It's literally parentheses, commas, and numbers, and that's it.
Some kind of different stack.
It's
Get position or set position?
set
Set.
position. It's gonna look like the line.
But you will be typing get position too.
Yeah. Hitbox,
Set position, then you gotta do bracket m sprite dot get position, and then same bracket thing at the end. Get
Just like I wrote it on the
position.
board line, yeah.
And now bracket, there you go, perfect, terminate. All that's left is for the intersection.
Yes, and there's actually one more step we need to take, because it's private. So, go back to.
Public?
Player H?
Yeah. Yeah, we're out of time, we're just gonna do it the wrong way. Remember, you know how I told you to put it right above public? Move it to right below public.
Low, because otherwise we'd have to get a
Yeah.
getter
We
function.
need to get it. So the right way wouldn't take us too long, but it would take us longer than this. Okay, now, last
We got
change
time, we got 10 minutes.
in zombie arena. Should just be RITE. There you go. In zombie arena.
Even though it's not highlighted?
It's fine. That's just Visual Studio trying to keep up with us.
Okay.
He'll catch up, give it all.
So, back up in zombie arena. Wherever we were doing the intersections before. I don't remember where that was. Wherever the hit was.
Intersect.
Search for intersects, that'll be faster.
Yeah, there it is.
Right there. So now, instead of, no, wait.
Not
that's
those
the wrong
bullets,
one. That's
keep
for
going.
bullets. Okay, search for the next one, using the arrow. Wait, that's it. So now, what we wanna do is instead of
Player, get position, it's player dot hitbox.
player dot hitbox dot get position. So leave the whole line alone, just right there after that dot, say hitbox and add another dot. What's wrong with the intersects? Hover over that line, what's wrong with the intersects?
I think it has to be instead of a dot of brackets.
Why was it okay with,
Oh,
oh, Wait.
Position of the player.
Oh, yeah, change get position. We don't want it to say get position, we want it to say get local bounds. Or is it global?
I think it's global.
Yeah, I think that's
Local is, no, yeah.
Okay. I think we've just made the full changes.
Yeah, this is gonna work, this is it?
So now let's
Good
try
job,
it.
boys.
Now it should be a little bit more lenient.
Moment of truth.
And if it's not as lenient as you want it to be, it's actually not too hard to make it a little bit more.
You just change the scale numbers?
Yeah, all I have to do is go back and change those 0.5s. Now, they should be able to get closer to you before you take the image.
I'm not dying.
It randomly spawns 5 crawlers. Oh, see,
And so you took a little bit of damage
But
there.
I'm not dying, I'm not dying.
Yeah, so because the actual hitbox is a lot smaller now.
Right, can you, how close can you get it? Oh,
That seems more accurate than it was before.
there you go, it only
So
took
there we
us
go.
forever.
Took us forever and
Open up PowerPoint. Open up PowerPoint, bro.
Jesus.
That's how bad things got.
Serious though, I did
PowerPoint was definitely considered.
A serious though, I don't have Photoshop. If I need to change the size of an image, I go to PowerPoint.
Not Paint?
I mean, Paint doesn't work for like nice images.
No.
No, I mean, like, literally with PowerPoint, you open up a new PowerPoint, you paste in your image, and then you go to the top, to image properties and say crop.
What happens?
And you can crop it to be small.
What has the world come? Is there no good
It's-
image editor that's really nice?
I don't know.
GIMP or whatever it's called?
I mean, I'm sure there are some nice image editors, but if you don't have those, you just use PowerPoint. It just lets you crop. It lets you crop and then save the image.
So there's gotta be like an upgraded Paint, right, from like a Microsoft Paint upgrade.
Sure. I'm
Surely.
I'm sure there's a better way of doing it, but look, when you have a work laptop that only has PowerPoint, and all you need to do is crop an image to be slightly smaller, PowerPoint works.
Wow, amazing, dude, that's crazy.
Okay.
I'm stealing that tech from Photoshop.
That was very satisfying.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, we did
Were
get
you,
working
were you
against.
vibing?
Huh?
Yeah, vibing?
I was like,
Okay. Vibe code, man. Big new thing.
so who wants to go up next? Yeah. Good club effort.
Good job, guys.
Good job, guys.
We did it. We did it.
I think that's.
I don't know if I'm on the list for it.
5 minutes left, 5 minutes. We made it to the end, boys.
Oh, Alex, did you?